Assalamu alaikum, boys and girls. How are you today? Welcome back to Play and Learn Tajweed with Koko. I'm very happy that you are learning and you came back to learn more. And so are your friends here at home and Koko. We're almost done. Almost done. And a couple of lessons for, I think we have only one more lesson to finish the Tajweed, and then we're going to have like two more sessions to practice on the reading. It's going to be about application from the Quran. But today's lesson and the next week lesson is going to complete the whole Tajweed that I was planning to teach you. Today we're going to talk about something important, yet it's not critical to your Tajweed. You can still do well with the rules I taught you, if you know them very well, but it is something good to know. It's good always to have more knowledge about things, so when you hear about them, you don't feel blank. You say, I never heard of that. But it's good to know about them, that they exist, and to understand them, but they're not going to affect your reading if you couldn't understand. You remember when I started this program with you in the beginning, I used always to mention to you the makharij of the letters. These are the important one. It's very important to know the makharij of every letter, how you pronounce it. But today's lesson is going to be about something similar to the makharij, but yet is not critical to apply. It's called Sifaat Alhuroof, because if you are pronouncing the letter right, you are already performing the Sifat. Sifat means characteristics of the letters. We know this is a boy, his name is Omar, and this is a girl, her name is Aisha. Okay? They both have different characteristics. It's a boy and a girl, but they can share similar characteristics. For example, they both have black hair, right? They both have black eyes, right? And they both are children. They both have the same height. They both are wearing black shoes. But some of the characteristics are not permanent, right? They can change it, like their shoes color, the clothes color, it can change. But some of the characteristics cannot be changed, like the hair color. It's just permanent. Same like the letters. The letters can be different, but they can share similar characteristics. Some of these characteristics are permanent. You cannot change it, and if you change it, the letter will sound wrong. And some of the characteristics, they are temporary. It just adds to the beauty of the letter or the sound, or it's only applied in a certain situation. So today we're going to talk about the characteristics of the alphabet letters. And these characteristics are going to make the foundation for our next lesson and the last one. I couldn't teach the next lesson unless I tell you about the characteristics, because they mention the characteristics in a couple of situations. We need to know about it. So when they say, I'm not going to have to explain the whole characteristic lesson and confuse you with the other lesson. But I will teach you today the characteristic of the letter just to understand them. You don't have to memorize the name. They're going to be a lot of names, a lot of big names, and they may be hard for you to remember them all. But once you'll hear them one time, two times, they're going to be familiar, and it's just enough to know that these things exist. When you grow up, when you hear about them, you're not going to feel blank and say, oh, I haven't heard about this. It's good to know things, even if they're not important enough. It's good to know about them, okay? So don't waste time. It's going to be a long session because these characteristics are very long. but I don't want to divide it into two sessions. I like to have every video have the whole package, so you can pause and come continue other time. But I want to have the information pack in one session for ease of search when you go to search the videos. So sit tight and take your time to learn these characteristics, and don't worry if you could not get them, it's fine, no problem, okay? And so now let's go to the classroom and see Koko what's up to, okay? Let's go, my friends. Assalamu alaikum, Koko. How are you today? Yes, I heard that. I heard you can read very well now. And so do your friends at home and your friends here too. And I bet you are waiting and ready for today's lesson, okay? As I tell you, my friends, that today we're going to talk about the characteristics of the letters. And I'm going to make it easy on you. I'm going to make it in a table. Tables always help to see the whole picture and remember things. So today's lesson, as I told you earlier, is going to be about Sifaat Alhuroof, or the characteristics of the letter. I'm going to write it in English, but you know what I mean. Sifat. It's good to know the actual name all the time. Sifaat Alhuroof. Or the characteristics of the letters. And I'm not going to write the whole thing because I need a lot of room on the board for the table. Okay, the first thing, we're going to divide these characteristics to two main categories. As I told you earlier, sometimes these characteristics are original, they are part of the letter, you cannot change it, you can get rid of it. And sometimes it's temporary, it is redundant, it's not all the time, and these are divided in two major categories. Okay? The first one, we call it, and please, I'm going to write the things in English, but unless there is something have an Arabic letter, I will do it in Arabic. So we call it Sifaat Arida. I'm sorry, Sifaat Lazima. Let's start with the Lazima first. Okay, this is one group. And we have Sifaat Arida. When it is something like ayn and dot, I'm going to write in Arabic, so you will not confuse. Sifaat Arida. The Sifaat Lazima, these are 17 characteristics. Okay? There are 17 characteristics. First of all, let us talk about these 17. We're going to divide the Sifaat Lazima into two categories again. This is called Sifaat Mutadada. Okay? Sifaat Mutadada, which is going to divide itself into two categories. And let me do it together. I said, it divided in two. Let's divide it now. I was trying to make room, but it's good to have it now. We're going to have Sifat Mutadadda. We call it Mutadadda, which is the word Mutadadda means opposite. They have opposite characteristics. And Sifat غير متضادة. I'm going to come to this later on because I need to make room here. But we have Sifat متضادة and Sifat غير متضادة. The Sifat متضادة, I'm going to be divided it into opposite one. So I may not need that big things. To save space. They are 5 and 5. Totally 10 of the 17. So I'm going to have like the name and the opposite. They're both going to be opposite to each other. There are 5 opposite characteristics, total of 10. The first one, let me have it in my hand. The first one, I'm going to give it a number, number 1. The first sifat, the first characteristic, we call it al-hams. Hams means whispering. Hams. Hams means whispering. And the opposite characteristics to it, we call it jahr. Okay? So wait, you can save me. So hams is whispering and jahr is opposite to whispering. And these are especially for the letters in this sentence. فحثه شخص second. And then fa, ha, tha, ha, shin, kha, sad, sin, kaf, and ta. So when you pronounce these letters, it's just like whispering. F, f, sh. You don't pronounce it hard. It does not take you an effort to say f, f, sh, and so on. Opposite to this sifa is al-jahr, which is you feel here the airflow is free. You feel the breath, your breathing is flowing. Ash, as, and so on. Here the air flow is, you feel it trapped. And these are the rest of the alphabet letters, not in the in this فحثه شخص second. The reason for this is, in the first one, in the hams, in the whispering, these letters don't depend too much on the makhraj. They don't rely too much on the makhraj, okay? In the jahr characteristics, these letters, they depend, or they rely on their makhraj. When I say, I have to really say it, jim. They rely on the makhraj for the sound to come out, okay? And the difference between both of them here, your breathing flow easily, and here your breathing, the airflow stop when you pronounce the letter. And the second one is gonna be something close to this. We call it shidda or al-shidda, means strength. Okay, so the shidda is the strength, and opposite to shidda is rakhawa. Rakhawa means opposite to strength, soft. So rakhawa means this is not strong, it's weak. So the thing again, the shidda one, they rely more on their makhraj, and the rakhawa, they don't rely that much on their makhraj. Same like the hams. They can like opposite. These are present, or the characteristic of these letters. Ajid, cotton, bucket. These are very easy stuff to remember. So it's ajid, cotton, bucket. The shidda is opposite to rakhawa, but rakhawa is opposite to two characteristics here. I name it 2A and 2B. 2A is the shidda, and we have a 2B. 2B is it's a situation or a characteristic that is middle between the shidda and the rakhawa. Okay, and it is not too much. You don't need strength to say them, and still they are not weak. So they are kind of middle, and these are characteristic of the letters. Or we named it first. We name it tawassut. Or bainiya. Bainiya means in between. And these are characteristic for letters Lin Omar. Lin Omar. So in this, you feel that the sound emerge but doesn't flow. Okay, the sound emerge but does not flow. In the rakhawa, the sound flow easily. It's very weak makhraj. The letter is weak, doesn't depend on the makhraj. So you find the sound flow. In the shidda or in the thing, you find that is the sound of the letter is trapped in its makhraj. Like when you say if the sound is trapped in the makhraj. And these two characteristics opposite to the rakhawa or the weakness. We have two more characteristics, and I hope I have room for them. The third one is easy. I'm not going to talk much about it because we already killed it talking about it in step 1 and step 2. So the third one is called the isti'la, and we know isti'la. What is it? You know, isti'la. And of course, the one that opposite to it is what? It's going to be istifat. And opposite to it, we're going to say number 3. And you know, the letters for isti'la is khussa, dagtin, qid, as I said to you before many times. And istifal letters are the remaining letters in the alphabet. Same here for the rakhawa, the remaining letters that not in Lin Omar or Ajid Qatin Bakat. Okay? One more characteristic, which is number 4, which is the very important one that we are going to talk about it in our next lesson, or we're going to need talk about it, is number 4, which is called itbaq, with a ta. Itbaq means closing. You close your mouth, the things are like really packed, close. And the characteristic that opposite to it is called infitah. Infitah means opening. So idbaq means closing, infitah means opening. And this characteristic is when you press the majority of your tongue against the roof or the hard palate in your mouth. Like when you say letter ta, up, your mouth, really the tongue is pressed against the roof of your mouth. And the infitah is your mouth is open, or your tongue is not attached to the roof of your mouth, but it is separating from the roof of your mouth. So either the whole tongue is separated or part of the either the whole tongue is separated from the roof or part of the tongue is separated. But in the idbaq, the whole tongue is attached or touching or pressed against the roof of your mouth. These letters of idbaq are very easy to remember. They are sad, dad, ta, and za. Okay, so these are the letters of idbaq. And the letter of infitah, these are the letters that are not in idbaq letters. Okay, number 5, sifa number 5, which I call it, or the ulama call it, I'm going to write it here maybe. It's called idlaq. Idlaq. Idlaq means there is ease or fluency, something like slippery. Idlaq. And opposite to idlaq is a sifa called ismat. Okay, so ismat is the characteristic opposite to idlaq, which is ismat mean the refraining of the letter from coming out of the makhraj. About the idlaq, either or fluency, is the letter when you pronounce it, it is emerging from the tip of your tongue and the lip with ease, with fluency. Okay, is the emergence or the fluency of the letter from the tip of the tongue or from the lip easily. Easiness or fluency. These are the letters in the sentence firra man lu. Firra man lu. If you say f, it's easy. You feel the letter is just slipping from your L, ab, m. Easy. It's not something hard. It's just like you feel fluency in the pronunciation. In the ismat, or the is refraining of the emergence of the letter from within the mouth or the throat. You feel the letter emergence is refraining, is not as slippery as in the idlaq characteristics. Okay, the letters of ismat are those who are not in idlaq, which is it can be jim, it can be kha, it can be ghain, all the other alphabet letters. So I don't want you to get scared or confused by all these vocabulary. It can be very confusing, but I just want you to remember that this kind of characteristic exist, and once I complete the whole picture, you will understand more. Let's go back to our the sifat, here we say we have sifat mutadadda, means they are opposite. You have 5 and 5. And you have the second one, sifat غير mutadadda. Sifat are not opposing to each other, they are just by themselves. I'm going to say sifat غير mutadadda. Okay, these are number 1. And by the way, some of them you may be already heard about them before. The first one, these are like 7. They are 7. Here we have 10, completing with 7. So these are 7. The first one we call it safir. Which with letter sad, safir. And these are, safir means whistling. These are in letters sin, sad, and zay. It's a whistling that you hear. There is a sound emerging from the tip of the tongue and the upper front teeth. We say as, as, as. But the letter zay, more than safir, more than whistling, it is kind of like a buzzing sound. So this is an easy characteristic. You already know about it, which is sin, sad, and zay. The second characteristic that is not opposing characteristic is qalqala. And already know about qalqala before. We talked about qalqala. And we know the letter of qalqala is qadbi jet. And the third characteristic is the lean. We also talk about lean. Okay? And lean also called as the ease. And these are characteristic of 2 letters. I said to you before, letter waw with a sukoon or a letter ya with a sukoon, if they were preceded by a letter that has a fatha. And this is the, I'm not going to talk more about it because these 2 characteristics we already know about them. And the fourth characteristic, we call it inhiraf. This is something new. The inhiraf means inclination. That is, the letter will kind of like a tongue will incline a little bit from the makhraj, from its makhraj to other makhraj. And these are characteristics of letter ra and lam. Letter ra and lam, they incline a little bit from the makhraj of noon. They incline from the makhraj of noon. So when you say ar, al, they just a little bit inclining from the makhraj of the noon. And these are letters ra and lam. We call it inhiraf. Inhiraf means to incline a little bit. And the fifth characteristic in the sifat غير mutadadda is takrir. Takrir means you roll your tongue or repetition, and this is characteristic of the letter ra. It's a bad characteristic to have. It's always you try to avoid rolling your tongue or repeating. Don't say ar. Don't make your tongue roll many times when you pronounce. So this is a bad characteristic. We don't want to use it, but we're going to learn how to avoid it. So takrir. And this is for letter ra, which is you're not supposed to do it. So how to avoid these characteristics? You press your tongue, okay, on the tip of your tongue against the hard palate. you press the tip of your tongue against the hard palate and let your tongue roll only one time. Ar. Ar. You press your tongue. You have to say, don't say ar, don't let the tongue move. You press your tip of your tongue against the hard palate. Okay, so say ar, ar. You don't let it roll. So again, it's a bad characteristic. We should supposed to avoid it. It's mean rolling off your tongue. So you press your tongue, the tip of your tongue, against the hard palate and let your tongue roll back only one time. R, R, and that's it. The sixth characteristic, which is very easy characteristic, we call it the fashi. The fashi means the diffusion of the air, or diffusion of the air in the mouth when you pronounce the letters, and this is especially for letter she. So you feel the air is diffusing in your mouth after you pronounce ash, ash, and this is for letter she. I'm supposed to. The seventh and last characteristic is, we call it istitala. Istitala means elongation, not elongation of the sound, no. It's elongation of the makhraj. The makhraj is long. And this is especially for letter dot, as we know, the makhraj of the letter dot in the side of your tongue. But the whole length of the side of your tongue, from the tip to the back, is a makhraj for dot. But the part that is touching or pressuring on the molars, the upper molars, is the part of pressure, and the remaining front side here of the tongue is side front is kind of touching the remaining of the teeth of your upper jaw. So it is called istitala with a ta, istitala. The makhraj is long, is not on a special place, but it takes the whole edge of your tongue or side of your tongue. And this is for letter dot. Okay. From now on, things are going to be easy. So I try my best to make room here, but things should be clear that we have these 17 characteristics for Sifat Lazima, means it is part of the letter. It cannot be changed. Okay, and we have them divided in two groups: Sifat Mutadada and Sifat Ghair Mutadada. Okay, so this is called Sifat Mutadada and Sifat Ghair Mutadada, means these are opposite. They are opposite to each other. Okay, and these are not opposite. Okay, not opposing to each other. We know that Mutadada, they have 5 and 5 against each other, and the one that are not opposing, they are 7. Okay, totally they are Sifat Lazim are 17. Let's come to the Sifat Arida, or the Sifat that are redundant. They are temporary, and not all the time, but they apply, or we have to apply them in special situation. They add to the beauty of the letter sound, and it is I can say it's part of the right of the letter in special situation. I will explain more when we come. The first one of Sifat Mutadada, means Sifat Arida, is, and as I told you, some of it you may already heard about it before. The first one is tafkhim. Tafkhim, and we all of us know what tafkhim is. Okay? Tafkhim is sifa arida. It's not part of the letter. Means if you do not pronounce the letter with tafkhim, it's not going to change the letter itself. If I said ra or ra, it still is ra, but it gives it an ugly sound, and you took some of the rights of that letter. And the second type is the letters that are sometimes mufakham, sometimes muraqqam, and these are like letter alif, lam, ra, and the ghunna. This characteristics, that is for alif, lam, and ra, and the ghunna, they are sometimes they follow tarqiq and sometimes they follow tafkhim. The third characteristics is idgham, and we talked about idgham before. Okay, and we know the rules for idgham. If you did not attend that session, you need to go back and go for it, but we don't want to waste time here. We're only outlining facts that already we learned, adding more new to it. And the fourth characteristic is going to be about ikhfa, and we already talked about ikhfa before, right? It's something, if you don't pronounce the letter with ikhfa in the word, which is happening because a letter came before it or after it, it's not going to change the sound of the letter. It's not going to change the fact about the letter, but it's you took some rights out of the letter or away from the letters. And the fifth one is new and very important, and you should remember the fifth one because it's going to affect your reading. It's called imala. Okay, it's called imala. I cannot tell you the meaning of imala in English. It's kind like something not straight, standing, or like it's something a little bit tilted from the actual sound. When I say ba, I say ba, straight. When I say bi, straight down, bi. But there are certain situations, and I think it's not too many in the Quran, where the kasra has an imala, or the letter with a kasra pronounced with imala. So for example, it wouldn't be an actual kasra, it's going to be like a fatha actually, but you pronounce it with a kind of a kasra that is not a real kasra sound. Example, in Surah Hud, verse number 41, you're going to find the word okay. If I were to pronounce this word as I don't know, so mim fatha, jim sukun, ra fatha, I will say majraha. That is the way we learn how to read. Fatha longa majraha. But you're gonna find a symbol like a diamond under the ra, and something like this. When you find this symbol under the ra, means pronounce the letter ra with imala. So I'm gonna say, instead of saying majraha, I will say majreha, majreha. So not riha, not raha, it is re. Majreha, majreha, bismillahi majreha wa mursaha, and so on. So watch for this symbol when you're reading the Quran. This is important characteristic. So the majraha. And one important one we're going to talk about it next lesson is the idba. Is also important. But this is all about the Sifaat Arida, and most of them we have talked about before. So to wrap these things fast, I know it can be overwhelming, right, Koko? Are you confused? Not yet? Good. So I deliberately did not write the words in both languages because the board is small and there's no way we can fit this thing in. But I want you to see the whole picture in your head, and you can make this in a big board and have nicer than mine. Sifaat Alhuroof means the characteristic of the letter or the letters. A letter can share or can have 5 characteristics, like maybe 5 letters can share 1 characteristics and so on. So it's not like for one letter. So a letter seen can share different characteristics also. So the Sifaat Al-Huroof or characteristic of the letter, they can be divided in 2 major characteristics. One is Sifaat Lazima, means something part of the letter all the time, and Sifaat Arida means not all the time, redundant. Okay? And the Sifaat Lazima, it's divided in 2 categories. One is Sifaat Mutadadda, means opposing to each other. So, and other one, Sifaat Ghair Mutadadda, are not opposing to each other. The one that opposing characteristics, they are 5 against 5. The first one is hams, whispering, against jar, okay, which is opposite to whispering. These letters that have the hams characteristic or the whispering is in the sentence فَحَثَّهُ شَخْصٌ سَكَتَ. The second characteristic is shidda or strength, and against the shidda is rakhawa, means ease or softness, and the shidda, we can feel it in the letters ajid, qatin, bakat. Ajid, ad, up, their strength, they rely too much on their makhraj. The rakhawa letters, they don't rely on their makhraj. Okay, they don't rely that much on their makhraj. They come with softness. The second one that is sharing the opposing to rakhawa is called tawassud or bainiya. Tawassud means middle, bainiya it means in between. These are in letters in the word lin umar, lam, noon, ain, mim, ra. They are, the sound emerge but doesn't flow that much. Okay, here in the rakhawa, the sound flow. You don't have to really feel it like there is trapped in the makhraj. No, here in the shidda, the sound trapped in the makhraj. They rely too much on the makhraj. And the rakhawa letters are the rest or the remaining alphabet letters that not in the shidda or in the tawassut. The third characteristic that opposing is isti'la and istifal, and we have talked about this before. And the fourth one is idbaq. Idbaq means when your tongue is closing or touching the tip of the top of your mouth, the roof of your mouth. So it's closed. Idbaq means closing. So when you pronounce the letter sad, your tongue totally close, touching the roof of your mouth. So you're gonna say as, up, up, up. So the tongue is touching the roof of your mouth. With the infitah means opening, to open. Either the whole tongue, or part of the tongue is not touching the roof of your mouth. In idbaq, the whole tongue is touching the roof of your mouth. And number 5 is islaq, is slippering. Like something slippery, we call it islaq. Is ease of or fluency of the pronunciation of the letter. And these are in letter fa, ra, mim, noon, lam, ba. Firra, men look. And opposite to the islaq is the ismat. which is the letters that are refraining from emerging. It's not like the Islam that are they pronounce with fluency or ease of pronouncing these letters. They here, if I say fa or ra, f, or the sound comes out fluently from the lip or from the tip of my tongue. F, R, M, N, L, Ab. There is no refraining from the makhraj. In the ismat, the sound refrain the makhraj. The sound is not flow with ease or fluency. There is some restraining in the sound. And this is complete our Sifat mutadada. The Sifat غير متضادة, which Sifat are not opposing to each other, they are 7. And we have the first one, Safir means whistling, Sin, Sad, and Zay. Qalqala, we know the Qalqala, Qutb Jad. Lean is in letter Waw and Ya when they have Sukun, preceded by Fatha. We also know about it. And Hiraf is a new vocabulary word. In Hiraf, this is characteristic for letter Ra and Lam because they incline from the makhraj of letter Nun. And Takrir, we said, is a bad characteristic. We should not do it. We should avoid it. It is for letter Ra. And the way to avoid the Takrir, which means the rolling of the sound or the tongue multiple times, is by pressing the tip of your tongue against the roof of your mouth or against the hard palate, and rolling the tongue only one time. Ar, ar. And the sixth characteristic is the fashi. The fashi is the diffusion of the air in your mouth after you pronounce the letter, and it is characteristic of letter Sheen, ash. And the seventh characteristic is istitala. Istitala means elongation, not the sound, but the makhraj is long. And this is characteristic of letter Dad, where the makhraj of letter Dad is extending on the whole length of your tongue or the side of your tongue. And that's complete our Sifat غير متضادة, or characteristics that are not opposing to each other. Come to the different side of this table, which is Sifat Arida, Sifat that are not there all the time, but they add to the beauty of the sound of the letter, and it is add to the right of the letter. And if you don't pronounce it this way, you are taking away from the right of that letter, but it will not affect the letter to be wrong or change the whole sound. It won't change the whole letter, but it will affect the way you should pronounce the letter in that sentence or in the word. The first sifa is tafkhim. We already know about tafkhim and tarqiq. So this is a sifa that is we should do it, but if you don't say ra or kha, it's not gonna change the letter kha, how it sounds. If you say kha or kha, nothing changed except the extra rights has been taken from the letter. Second one is the letters that are sometimes they have tafkhim and sometimes they have tarqiq. These are alif, lam, ra, and the gunna. And alif is in the, as we say, in the ismul jalala. The alif in the, the lam in the lam of ismul jalala, Allah's name. And we have talked about that very much before. The third characteristic is idgham. We also talked about idgham means merging. Ikhfa, number 4, ikhfa means to hide the sound. It is characteristic for letter sometimes when you say and you don't pronounce the noon very clearly, and the noon or the tanween. And the fifth characteristic is called imala. Imala means like tilting from the right position. Like fatha is ba, Ra fatha, ra. But I will do imala. Instead of saying ra, I will say re. So reha. And this is in I think Surah Hud, verse 41. And that's all for today, my friends. I hope you found it easy. You don't have to you don't have to memorize all these names, but you should know they exist. You should just try to review it many times and you will get used to it. But don't forget the imana. When you see this symbol on this word or any word, you just pronounce that letter with a flat kasra. If you're gonna have fatha, make it flat kasra. Don't say ri, don't say ra. It is in between a and e. It is re. Okay, and that's all about today. And most of this stuff we already talked about before. Okay, I'm sorry it took a long time, but I needed to wrap it in one session to have it all in one package. And the best thing to do is try to copy this, make it in a chart. Okay, and after you make it like this, hear the video and write the name in English, also the meaning. Write the meaning. I'm sorry I didn't have room to write the meaning next to the word, but inshallah in my book Little Reader Tajweed is going to come, I think, very soon. I will gonna have things more detail, and you can have this table with the meaning also next to it. Okay, and for now just practice, and you have one more lesson left. After this is lesson number 23. It's gonna complete or wrap our Tajweed classes, and it's gonna give you a good base to read the Quran. And after lesson 24, we're going to have application from all what we have done so far. Step 1, step 2, step 3. We're gonna especially apply the Tajweed rules that we have learned, I think, since lesson 11. Step 3, lesson 11 up to 23. We're going to apply it in lesson 24. And I hope I can have also a couple of more lessons that we're going to read more, and then we do ijra, explain every rule while we are reading. And that's going to give you a good understanding, and you can wrap everything together, okay? For now, I think it's time to let you go. I think you're tired. Go have some ice cream. It's summertime now. And you can have cold drink. If it is not hot outside, you can go play. Play some games indoor if you want. Watch some TV. And then take some rest. And don't wait too long to review this. You need to do it right away before you forget, okay? Till I see you next time, I say to you, fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.